What's up, everybody? I am Brendan. I'm a full stack engineer based in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm going to be teaching you how to get through this NearMe 1 project. We will be touching on a few new things this time, mainly the fact that we will be taking a third-party Angular directive, aka a directive that someone else has built and put out to the public for free, and incorporating that directive into our app, which we are going to build. Now, the app we are building is basically just like Google Maps. There's going to be a bunch of pins dropped on the map of New York City. When you click on that pin, you will be brought to the Wikipedia page of that kind of pin. Now, for step one, we're going to be hard coding our pins and the map location, but in the next step, we're actually going to be using services to kind of grab data from an API and dynamically render those pins. But enough about step two. Let's tackle step one here. Let's dive into it. All right, so this is the final product here for the NearMe 1 project. You can see it's a map of New York City, and with this nice zoom in and zoom out button. Now, when you click on the pins, you will see that they have a corresponding label marking whatever this pin is representing. Hit the exit button, it gets out of there. So yeah, let's start building it. All right, so step one, include the AngularJS library in your project. We've downloaded the AngularJS library to js/vendor/angular.min.js. Include this in a file as a new script element inside the head of index.html. Okay, so here is index.html, and just so you can see that what the directions say is actually true, here's the script for the Angular library. All right. So I'm here in the head in my view script. JS here. Okay, step one is done. Step two, in js/app.js, create a new module named NearMe app. Include it as a new script element and then attach it to the body element. Okay, so there should be a reminder, and this should kind of becoming second nature to most of you. When you're building an Angular app, you first need to declare the fact that you're creating an Angular app, and we do this in app.js. And I see that there's no app.js file here for us already, so I'm going to have to make one. App.js. Our app equals angular.module. Name of the app, NearMe app. And then we're going to leave this array dependency list empty for now, but we'll see in the next few steps that we're actually going to be adding something there. Save it. And then remember, we've got to include this as a script as well as attach it to the body element in the view. So let's do that. Script, and notice I'm putting it here in my kind of module section for scripts. Is it js/app.js scripts body g app here me. Step three, in js/controllers/main-controller.js, create a new controller named main controller. Include it as a new script element and then attach it to the div with the class of main element. JS. All right, so no controller folder. Let's add one. Controllers. Sorry. Controllers. There, we're going to touch a file. Main controller. Yes. All right. Now let's start building. Name the controller. Main controller. And this should be coming second nature again to most of you, but the name of the file and what we actually name the controller should always be consistent. anyways. And then this dependency array here, and we're going to include scope, so we'll be able to access, so we'll be able to pass data into our view. Function that takes in that dependency and uses it. Okay. And we're not attaching anything to the scope for now. We will in the next few steps, but this is good. Okay, so index.html, find class div. Sorry, find the div with the class of main. It is controller equals main controller. Cool. Step 3 is done. Okay, step 4. So far, you've been writing your own custom directives. Developers in the AngularJS community have been creating and sharing their own directives for others to use. A popular directive is the leaflet directive, which allows you to embed a map in your AngularJS app. Let's use it here in the NearMe app. Create a new file, js/vendor/leaflet.js. Okay, so basically what we have to do is we're going to, the way that we imported Angular into our app here, we've got the Angular script, and then we included it, remember, it was step 1, as a script here. We're going to be doing the same thing, but with this new library, the leaflet directive, or the leaflet library. So let's do that. Leaflet.js. Cool. Copy all the code from leaflet JavaScript file. Wow. Copy that. Paste. Save. Okay, so it seems that leaflet is an actual library. And there's a particular part of the library that we want to use called the Angular leaflet directive. So it's like it's a directive, right? Remember, directives, just kind of self-contained chunks of code that are extremely reusable. That's what we're going to be doing here for the Angular leaflet directive. Okay, so copy all the code from the leaflet directive. Copy. It says create a new file in the vendor. Angular leaflet directive.min.js. Paste that copied code into here. Save it. Fantastic. Cool. And I'm just noticing now that I forgot to include it as a script in our HTML file. So let's do that. And this is a directive, so I'm going to organize it so I have to do it both for the leaflet file as well as the Angular leaflet directive file. So JS / vendor / leaflet.js. Cool. Okay, now step 3, create a new file, css / leaflet.css. Copy all the code from the leaflet CSS file and paste it into your CSS leaflet CSS file. Then include this as a new link element inside the head of the index.html. Copied. File. Leaflet.css. Paste. And back in the view, include it in our head. A link. href equals css slash, oh man, leaflet.css. And it is a style sheet. Is that off? Okay. Save it. Step 3 is done here. Now 4, in the module, inject the leaflet directive. Okay, so if our app is going to use this kind of outside part of this weird library that we included, we need to tell the app to include it. And we do that in our app.js file. So NearMe app, you are going to use the leaflet directive as a dependency, so you'll have access to it. So let's save it. Now step 5, back in our view, let's include the leaflet directive to display a map. Leaflet. All right, so that should be it. If everything is entered correctly and nothing's showing up. Okay, this is completely fine. I will show you how to debug Angular apps. So I'm using Google Chrome. I'm going to open up the Google Chrome developer tools to kind of get an insight as to why our application is not working the way we want it. And I'm going to open the developer tools by hitting Option Command J. And that will open up the console. And I see here this big scary error. So I'm going to click on this and let's see what happens. Bad argument. Argument main controller is not a function. Got undefined. Okay, interesting. So main controller is not defined, but I have obviously defined it in our main controller file, right? We walked through that. This looks good. So that means that, aha, I forgot to include the script. AS/controllers / main controller. Yes. Script. Okay, save that. And will you look at that? The power of debugging. Angular is actually awesome for their error messages they give you. You just need to open up the console, look through those errors, and they actually give you links. And if you click on that link, you'll be able to see what the error is. And it told me main controller was not defined, and it was right. It was not defined in my view. I was calling it here main controller, but it was looking for a main controller and was not able to find it. It was undefined. Well, that's because I didn't include the script tag in my view. So anyways, step 5 is done. Okay, step 6. The leaflet directive can take information about the map's position through the center attribute. In the controller, make a new property called scope.mapCenter and set it equal to the following object. Okay, so in our controller, add a property of mapCenter, set it equal to this object. Okay. In the view, pass mapCenter into the directive center attribute. However this directive has been set up, it's going to take information through this center attribute, and apparently it's going to be taking an object, latitude and longitude, and kind of like a zoom level. And that is going to be changing what we see here. So let's go back over here to our view. Leaflet, the center attribute. And what are we going to be passing it into? We're going to be passing in map center, aka this object here. Let's see what that does. Will you look at that? So this is a particular longitude and latitude, New York City, it seems, and a particular zoom. So if we refresh, it's going to go back to what we had set the center equal to. Pretty cool. All right, step 7. Leaflet directive can take information about the map's markers through the markers attribute, and the controller make a new property called scope.mapMarkers and set it equal to the following array. Scope map markers equals this array. In the view, pass map markers into the directive's markers attribute. Map markers. Okay, so markers equals what? Map markers, aka that array. And remember, what's probably happening behind the scenes in this leaflet directive, which we did not build, is that based on what information is getting passed into the markers attribute, it's iterating through each of those markers, or the marker in the markers array, and kind of rendering different data based on those markers. So let's save it. And there you go. Chelsea Market and 111 8th Ave. All right, that is it. Step 7. Alrighty, folks. So we have successfully built the NearMe 1 phase of this project. We took a directive, which we did not make, imported it in, and used it as our own. Now, you might be wondering, well, how did we know that it was going to take a markers or information through the markers attribute, and how is it going to take information through the center attribute? And again, this is just part of a developer's life. You are going to be reading lots and lots of documentation, and you just kind of have to figure it out. Now, Codecademy was nice enough to tell us that this is how it works, but in the future, don't be afraid to kind of dig in to libraries that you'd like to include. Do a Google search, you find something you like, read the documentation, and implement it. So in this project, we were able to import a directive. We were able to add information to our controller, aka attach data to our controller and pass that data into our view so that this new outside directive could use it and render what we see here. Alrighty, folks, that's it. Brendan here signing off. I will see you for the NearMe 2 part of the project. See you soon.